How do you pick a language teacher? As an adult, you're in the privileged position to be able to pick your teacher, to choose one from a number of available ones, especially if you're learning a common language. So how do you pick? Who's a good teacher? If this is something you're interested in, keep watching. And please remember to hit the subscribe and like buttons to help the channel and to be notified when new videos come online. In school, we usually do not get to choose our teachers, and even if we could, our criteria would probably be different because children prefer teachers who are kind and cool rather than the ones who are actually good at teaching. And as a child, your teacher pretty much determines how you're learning because presumably, or hopefully, she knows this better. She has taught many students before you and knows what brings results. Except that this is not always the case. And as a child, you typically have no choice but to follow the methods and approach of your teacher. And when teaching, the teacher teaches you a subject, such as biology, French, or math. And in doing this, the emphasis is on the subject, not you. And quite fittingly, the subject is always presented as a science, as a branch of knowledge that you as a student need to acquire. So there's the subject such as biology or French or math, that is an objective domain of study, and then there's you who need to acquire this domain, or at least bits of it. But I think in reality, learning is always much more personal, and the object of learning is not an objective domain. Or rather, what you actually learn is not objective at all. It depends on your teacher and also on you, and the two of you take objectivity out of the process. But this kind of scientific learning is about a supposedly objective domain, but it is distilled for you through the subjective criteria of your teacher. And under teacher, I also include those individuals who design the curricula for schools, not just those teachers who actually deliver this in the classrooms. But the important thing is that in this kind of setting, learning is still not about you, unless you're very, very lucky and you meet a teacher who is exceptionally good and passionate about teaching, and who can cut through this weird scientific objectivity and tries to convey to you the fun and excitement part of her subject. Okay, but as an adult, I'm in the privileged position to be able to determine what and with whom I am learning. Again, you may be in a university, and so you need to do certain credits to get ahead, and so you don't have that much choice, but you still have a lot more choice than a child. But if you decide to learn a language on your own, then you should really take full advantage of the opportunity to be able to study the way that works for you. Because there is no point in sticking to a method or a person you don't feel comfortable with. As an adult, I've had the experience of studying languages for many years, both in school and outside school. And I gradually also began learning about my own way of learning, what works best for me and what does not. Which is why I try to pick teachers to whom I can explain what I want and what I need, and who therefore would be able to cater to my specific situation. Of course, I don't mean to imply that my situation is somehow specific. I think everybody's situation is specific, and it's also different from that of others. So there's a method that works best for everyone, but that method might be different for others. To my surprise, and I was really surprised, telling language teachers how you want to learn does not always work, because many of them are not willing to adjust the way they teach. Even more surprising is that many of these people have not been teaching that long, so they don't have extensive experience, but they still defend their own method with logical reasoning as to why it is the best one. So this seems to be based on conviction rather than experience. And I often hear arguments such as, oh, you'd first need to learn the structure completely, otherwise you will not understand anything. Or, first you need to memorize these 48 kinds of declensions, otherwise you have nothing to build on. But I prefer just jumping in without learning the structure. And this is different from those who prefer to go with the structure first approach. But I don't want to change those people. I understand that everybody has their own preferences when learning, and I'm completely okay with other people learning their own way. Still, when I hire a language teacher for myself, I expect them to listen to me and adjust according to my criteria. When the pandemic struck and we were all locked in our homes, I experimented with learning different things online, including languages. And I was shocked to see that some teachers' minds are unbendable. They would not listen to your pleas no matter what. They know how teaching is supposed to be done, and this is the way you're going to learn with them. And that's it. I was baffled because I didn't understand why it was so hard to listen to their paying client, to hear how he wanted to learn. After all, this was not a religious ceremony that had to be performed in exactly the same way for centuries. We could easily change things around, if for no other reason, just to try a few new things. And with teachers like this, after a few sessions, I had no other option but to find a new teacher, which from a teacher's point of view was equivalent to rather being fired than making the lessons fun and enjoyable for the student. Luckily, there are also other teachers who are willing to listen and adjust to your needs. They're willing to experiment, not just with me, but with anyone who's up to it. And I know this because they were telling me that with such and such a student they were doing this and that was something I loved to hear. So God bless teachers like that, because they make learning much more fun. And to me, they are the superstars of the profession. And picking the right teacher was not something I paid attention to in the past. I just thought I should get a teacher who was good at the language. But this whole experimentation during the pandemic taught me that it's really worth paying attention to how you're learning best. And so you need to learn efficiently, and to continue with it, you need to make it fun. I want to get the best out of the time and money I spend on learning. And the last thing I need is somebody creating obstacles for me, or making me go in circles and jump through hoops they want me to jump through. Okay, so these were my thoughts on choosing the right kind of language teacher. And the right kind of teacher is the one who is not rigid, but willing to accommodate your requests and build together with you the right kind of environment that is most beneficial to your learning. Let me know your experience with this. I think we all have experience in this field, as we all have our own preferences when learning languages. Hope this was useful. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.